Well, with the coronavirus pandemic, educational institutions are shutting down and drastically changing the way that they are delivering their education resources.
Teenage Jared would be so pumped right now. It's like school's over. Go home. Summer's early.
That's right. Well, that's the way a lot of them are processing it. But, our homeschooling folks say, well, what do you mean? What's different? Nothing's changed. And institutions of higher education are doing this as well. It's fascinating to me. I've lived through this. You kind of grew up in it, probably weren't paying attention as much. But I remember whenever I read in the Wall Street Journal a little 2-inch column that said MIT was going to put all of their courses online. And it blew my mind. I thought, man, the world has changed in education. And so we started the Founders Online Study Center for that very reason. That was the impetus behind it, saying, okay, we need to be involved in this, providing theological resources to as many people as we can around the world as inexpensively as we can. And I remember certain institutions of higher education dragging their feet, saying, no way, we will never do this. The only way that you can be educated properly is by coming to a brick and mortar school and being around a community of scholars and having these close associations. Well, there's something to be said for that model. I'm not throwing stones at that model completely. But if you're talking about relaying information, and much education, let's face it, especially in the higher levels, has become largely information dump. We're going to give you information. We're just going to dump information. If that's what education is primarily, you can do that far more efficiently apart from the current models. You can do that on the internet. Now, there's obviously more to education than that. Mm-hmm. And there's mentorship, there's discipleship, there's relationships that you have with those that are in the same boat with you, struggling through issues that you're learning. And then you have those that have experience that mentor and teach you and help you to see things that you didn't see before. All that's important. But again, elements of that can be recreated online as well. So the Founder Study Center, for example, we've had these great courses online, and we have mentors that are willing to walk with students through the study of those resources, but not just up in the upper academic levels. This is available also in elementary and in primary schools and secondary level schools as well. In fact, we have one of our Sunday school teachers, they put together curriculum for their class this last week and emailed it out with instructions about how to do things. And so a lot of the kids in our Sunday school were able to participate by that. That means. I've said for a long time, if a person wants to get an education, you can get it if you've got a high-speed internet and a computer, because it's amazing what's available out there. We're going to link to some things on Founders on our social media sites. You can follow us there that has resources available right now. Museums are shut down, zoos are shut down, and so what a lot of them are doing are providing virtual tours. So you can get online and you can watch with your children to see some amazing pieces of art, some amazing things from nature that are available for you right now that you can get from your living room.
Yeah, the education dynamics of this virus are quite fascinating because, like you said, the data dump, if that's your model in your whole educational system, whatever school you're talking about, it's interesting that that really can still be done with the coronavirus. Like, you haven't lost that dimension of it. What you do lose is the mentor relationship, the communication on an individual level. And I would say, with maybe the specialist versus generalist dynamic, some of that shepherding help from a teacher to help them connect the whatever specialist thing they've discovered into the generalist, into your worldview, into your way of thinking about your life and God and the world and how you're to live in it, which in many ways ideally is to be pushed down to the parental level anyways.
Right.
So that's very interesting to me. Like, parents, if you're thinking, I don't know how to do this because we're so hyper specialized, I don't know how to talk about the intricacies of biology the way their science teacher would. Well, that's true, you don't. But one of the things you're always to be doing is to help them integrate that into their whole way of life. And you have a wonderful time to do that now. So you have all resources everywhere. Read those resources and then talk about what are the implications of this for how you are to live well in the world.
Yeah, this is what the Bible calls parents to do anyway. Deuteronomy 6, Book of Proverbs, we are called upon to turn the world into a classroom. And we're to teach our children all the time in all the ways that we can. And with the internet available to us today, that has become far easier than it was in generations past.
Yeah, we had a massive debate break out a couple nights ago at the dinner table because I started to talk about the virus and whether it was just or unjust for the government to send a couple $1 trillion to the people. Would that be right? And the kids are all thinking, and they're starting to think about the role of government, to protect its people. And is this a sufficient use? Is this in step with what God has called the government to do? And we had some wonderful debates break out between the kids. So, in many ways, you don't have to be brilliant. I'm certainly not. I just ask these questions. I see something going on in society. I'm like, what do y'all think? Is this right or wrong? And all of a sudden the kids start going back and forth. And so you can have some great opportunities like that.
Wonderful.